Okay, so the bank account class was about 240 lines. Yours probably isn't that long because my first 65 lines, or my first 25%, were all those comments. All right, and again, I wouldn't expect you to put all those in, all right, but I did. All right, so the next thing that I want to do is now we have to go in and create the driver. So again, I'm going to click on my package, right mouse click, choose new, Java class again, and you were told to call this bank account driver. Okay? So that's what we're going to do now. It's probably about half the size of the one we just did. Maybe it's a little more than that. I don't know. Mine is like three pages. The one we just did was 6 pages. All right. So let's go back and look one more time, if you would please, on the screen here and see what we were told to do in the driver. All right. So create a driver with an array of 5 bank account objects. We'll do that in just a minute. Okay. And make sure one or more bank account objects test the no arg, one or more test the full arg. Make sure all 5 test the deposit, including both valid and invalid. Make sure all 5 test the withdrawal, including both valid and invalid. Keep track of the customer initial balance, the number, the amount. Well, we're already doing that. All right, for each customer, override the toString. We already did that. So E and F are already done. One thing I didn't do, I could probably ask Colin how to do it, but I didn't do the thing with the interest. And I just put it in there because a lot of people had been asking, you know, is there any way we can have extra credit? All right, and I thought it's something you could do over and above what you were asked to do. All right, so the first thing I did was I created my array of bank account objects. And I called them customer. Again, you can call them anything you want. And there were going to be 5 of them. So if you look on the screen here, yeah, we could put in a 5, but instead I did this. I came back here and I did say declare and initialize constants. And I just called it up here. I said static final int, and I called it max customers, and I set that equal to 5. All right, then I made this max customers. Oops. Now again, did you have to do that? Of course you didn't have to do it. All right. All right, before I forget to do it, because you all know this, PSV to put in our main. Okay, and now I'm just going to start creating stuff. Well, remember, were we told with the account number in here? I'm checking. I've got a variable called account number, and I'm seeing if I have to actually have that in there. I don't think I do, so I'm going to leave it off. If I need it, I'll put it in later. All right, so I put comments in front of every one of these. So I said first. So you're going to have in here somewhere probably around 200 lines, where somewhere around 40 to 50 of those lines are going to be comments telling you what I'm doing. All right. So test no arg bank account constructor. Okay, that's going to have to be static. I'm sorry. So if you don't make it static, that won't work. So, hey, and this is good. I'm glad I did that. Can you look up on the screen here? I didn't have that static, right? So I get that error because it doesn't understand it. There's 2 fixes. You should get this. The first is I can put the word static here. Now it fixed it, right? But if I say I don't want to do that, then I don't have to. But then I have to take that variable and I have to move it into main. So you can do it either way. Since I only have a main, I didn't have any other, oh, I do. I'm sorry, and I'll show you that in a minute. I will need the account number. So that's fine. We'll do that at the end. It's not going to be a problem. I'll just leave it like this. This is fine. So the first thing I want to do is I want to test my no-arg constructor. Equal new bank account. Oops. All right, I didn't define the thing for J option pane, right? So with my mouse on there, Alt Enter, and it added it for me. Or you can manually add import javax.swing.star. All right. Now I'm going to leave it up there. Please, everybody, just look at the screen. Listen to me, but look at the screen. I know many of you in here already get this, but I'm calling the no-arg constructor. You can tell because I'm passing nothing. That means it's going to go back to the bank account, and it's going to find my constructor with no arguments, all right, which is here. So it's going to call set first name. Since there isn't any first name, it's going to end up in here setting it to UFN, correct? Since there's no last name, it'll end up sending it to ULN. Since there is no account number, all right, we won't have any. All right, we're probably going to end up getting an error, but it's okay. It'll go and set that. It should set our initial balance. In other words, it should do the default stuff. So the best thing to do is to go and save this and let me run it and see if it does the default stuff. Still building. So look, it's customer 0. It did set ULN. It didn't send, these are goofed up, right? Those are goofed up. So something screwed up there. Something tells me I screwed it up when I overrode my toString method. Maybe I didn't, but I'll go back and look at it in a minute. It did generate an account number. It did put in the initial balance. Well, if you look in here, my total number of deposits should be 0. My total number of withdrawals should be 0. I haven't done any yet. My total deposit amount, well, probably I probably should have added that 25, and I didn't do that. The reason, what I'm telling you is, you shouldn't go in and create a bunch, all 5 objects, and do all these tests, and then run it. Create one object, and then run it to see if your initial stuff is working. Then create another object, etc. That's the way you should be doing it. Since this looks a little funky right here, now this is modal, so it's not going to let me do anything until I remove that. But technically, I guess I probably can leave it here. So let me go back to here, so I can kind of go back and forth. I'm going to go back to my toString method, and I want to look at it to see if I screwed anything up. It sure wouldn't be the first time. So I'm looking in here. Here's my toString. Get first name. That actually looked like it should be okay. And get last name. All right. Those look like they're okay to me. So then I want to go back and look at my get first name and get last name to see if I screwed up anything in there. And that would be my set first name and my set last name. First of all, get first name, return first name, good. Get last name, return last name, that's good. So where am I setting my first name? All right, if the first name is equal to nothing, which it should have been, okay, it should have set UFN. It should have done that the way it looks. And my last name? Should have set it to ULN. Looks like that's correct. All right. As far as I can tell. Oh, yeah, no, it's not. Look. Set last name? Look. That's the wonders of copy and paste. That should say last name. Yours maybe does. Mine doesn't. All right. That'll fix that error. So that'll fix the error that we saw here. This should now say, this one should say UFN, and that one should say ULN. That's correct, that's correct, that's correct, that's correct. We haven't withdrawn anything yet. It does have our balance correct. All right, but it looks like when I do my total deposit amount right there, I think, Colin, you might have been the one who asked me this, and that is, we make our initial deposit, right? Shouldn't we really be incrementing our total deposit amount and our total number of deposits? Because didn't we make a deposit? I think we did. So really, what that's saying in English, if I confused you, is when I go back in here and I set the initial balance and I've got all this, I should also say something like total deposits, oops, sorry, plus total deposits because I just made one, and what was it? We call it deposit amount plus equals the initial balance. Okay, current balance, I guess it is. There's a lot of ways we could write this. All right, but I put that in there. Now, why did I do that? So I can go back again. So I can go back again to my driver and run my driver again. Now it's customer 0, unknown first name, unknown last name, an account number, my initial balance, my number of deposits, my total deposit amount, and my current balance. Please look on the screen. It looks to me, in my humble opinion, like now everything is set correctly. You may agree with that. You may not agree with that. All right? So I now have tested my first customer. That's all I care about for right now, okay, is just putting in that first customer. All right, now I'm going to test the second one, which means I'm going to go back to my driver, all right, and I'm going to create another customer. This one, I want to test the full arg constructor, so I'm going to just copy all this. Probably not a great thing to copy. I probably should be, so I'm going to just change this to full arg. This will be customer number 1. They need a first name. They need a last name. Okay, here's the problem. Look on the screen. The next thing they're supposed to have is an account number. Okay? Right now I'm not generating an account number. So for now, this is a kludge, just so I can put something in there, I'm going to put in 1,000. I'm just going to put in a number. That's not the best way to do it, but I'm going to put that in anyway. All right? And for my initial balance, let's make sure that it all works. So we'll put in here $500. All right? Now I want to output that customer's information. So notice this all says customer 0. My second one all says customer 1. Please look on the screen, because this is what I did. And this is not just a logic error, it's a stupidity error. When I did this one time, I made that a 0. So it kept printing out my first customer, and for some reason, it wasn't hitting in my head what I was doing wrong. That's a logic error. So now I've got that. All right? So I'm again going to do a file, save all, come back and run my driver. The first record that comes up should be exactly the same as it just was. There it is. All right. Here's my second one. Now, you might look at this and say, how come your total number of deposits is 1, not 2? because it's each customer's total number of deposits and total number of withdrawals. So notice their initial amount is $500 because I said they opened the account with $500. Does all that make sense? So what I've done so far, based on what we were asked to do for the test, is I made sure that I created an object that tested the no arc constructor. I created an object that tested the full arc constructor. That was 10% of your test right there, was doing that. All right? So now what do we want to do? We want all 5 of these objects to test the deposit, to make sure we can put in, withdrawals and deposits that are all good, for lack of better words. All right? Now, if you look up on the screen here, please, everybody, what we were asked in here again, I've got my choice. I can randomly put numbers in there, right, just like I did, or I could write my own routine in here to create numbers. Okay? I could do it either way. And in fact, when you think about it, okay, on this particular test, I did not have in here an interface file, excuse me, but we could have created an interface file and had something that was called generate random number, and then I could have implemented that interface file both in the driver and in the class, okay, if I wanted to do that. So there's a lot of ways. In fact, I could even write that right into an interface file, because I'm doing it the same way regardless. But, what's that? Yeah. Yeah, in fact, I'd recommend you do that. Yeah. Yes. All that stuff. Yes. All that stuff that we put in here, really, this stuff should have all been put into an interface file. Can you bank account what? Constants are okay. You run into problems when you try to create variables and put them into an interface file. All right? And the main reason for that is technically an interface file, it's not a Java class. And you should only be putting those variables into a class. All right? It's the old joke that, yeah, I can pound in a nail with a screwdriver if I hit it hard enough, but it probably isn't going to go in right. It's not really the way I should do it. It's the same kind of an idea. Could you make it work? I don't know. I've never tried to. I'm just saying, though, it's not inconceivable that if you worked at it hard enough, you might be able to come up with a way of doing it. I don't know. All right. So what I decided to do was basically I grabbed that code that I had in here where we generated that random number. Remember this? I grabbed that code, copied it to the clipboard, went back to my driver, and in my driver here, I did create a variable up here that I said int account number equals, I think I just set it to 0. I'm double checking here. Yeah, I set it to 0. All right. But now, when I'm doing all this stuff, rather than just sticking in a number there like that, because to me, that's not good. All right. So I came down and wrote myself, outside of main, I wrote myself another method. And it literally is what? 1 line long? Since it's going to deal with main, it has to be static. Since main is a public static, I made this a public static. And I said int, and I called it create account number. All right. And it says, do you want to include Java util random? Yeah, you do it for me. And I just said return not equal. Return new random. There. That's the whole thing. So yeah, I did write one more routine. And I want to make sure, because you're asking some good questions here. You could make a case and say, you really aren't supposed to write methods like that in main. And yeah, there's probably other ways it could be done. Are there better ways that could be done? Probably. All right. Yeah, you're right. But now I can come in here, and where previously I had this, I'm going to change this to create account number. That's much cleaner as far as I'm concerned. And now when I run it, it's not going to have that 1,000 put in there like that. And I looked at it. You are creating an array with 5 accounts in it, right? 5. So the chances when you generate a number between 1,000 and 10,000, that's what, 9,000 or so possibilities? The chance of you having a duplicate in there are not good. I'm not saying it can't happen, but they're not good. They're not like if we were generating a random number between 1 and 10, or even 1 and 100. Okay, and again, this is what I did. Why did I do it in this order? I don't know. Sometimes when I write this stuff, you know, I can't give you a reason for why I do things in the order I do them. All right? Because if you look at that and you go, wait a minute, you kind of did this backwards. You're kind of weird. Okay, I can live with that. All right? And I wouldn't even deny that. All right? But, so this is what I did. I came in here and I said this. Test full, this is like 3 lines of comments. Full arg bank account constructor. Valid first name. And valid last name. Manually created account number and invalid initial balance. All right. So I'm going to grab basically everything I just did here, but I'm going to put that into customer 2. All right. So I can make it another name, but I'm going to make this a negative amount. You know this because you have looked at it. You know that if I put in an initial balance that is not meet the minimum, that what does it do? Well, we go back and we look at our code. All right? And we have a set initial balance in here, right? It's right there. We are going to be putting in a value that is going to be less than 25. So it should take and set 25 to our initial balance. Does that make sense to everybody? All right. Now, I'm going to tell you something, and this is, I'm probably going to end up, if I think about it, printing this out and giving you all a copy of it. I've got this article that I read online, and I just got to find it again. But it was on what is called, I'm asking you this question. Have any of you ever heard of this term? TDD. Anybody ever heard of TDD? It's an acronym, and it stands for Test-Driven Development. The way that for years, the way that you have created code and you had done all your stuff for years, the way people have done this is you write your code, then you write your tests, okay, to test your code. Does that make sense? With test-driven development, you do it in reverse. You write your tests first. And TDD it has been a big thing for a while, but one thing that's going to change the next time this class is taught, all right, and this is what I got to work on this summer with Paul Smith from the St. Louis campus, is they want us to be infusing in every class the idea of testing and writing good tests and Git in every class. All right, and I think that is being driven by the people who are in business and industry, because too many of the people who are who work for them now don't write good tests and don't use version control. All right. So they want to make sure that the next group that's coming in does. So again, I put in an initial balance of negative 500. That is less than 25. So my balance should be set to 25. Should be. And I want to see if it is. That's what I just tried to test with the test that we put in right here. All right, so I'm going to do another file, save all, and let's run it again. Again, my first two now are going to be the same as they were on the last run. There's the first one with my no arc constructor. There's the second one with the full arc constructor. Here's the next one. It says customer 2 null. Something is screwed up in there. Well, I'll have to see what it is. All right, customer 2. Customer 2. Look, here's what it is. See that? I didn't make that a 2. So there's nothing in there. I love it when I screw up, but it gives me a chance to show you something. All right? We all do it. The more that you do this copy and paste like I'm doing, the chances are the more you're going to screw it up. This should work, but we'll see. Here's the first customer. Here's the second customer. There's the third customer. Notice we gave them an initial deposit that was illegal. We gave them negative 500. The system said since it was negative 500, change it to 25. So that worked. Does that make sense? So we've now tested three things. Full arc constructor, no arc constructor, and a full arc constructor with an invalid initial balance. And when you look at this too, looks like our account number is working, right? Because we do have an account number between 1,000 and 10,000. So that's all good. All right. So I'm going to copy all of this to the clipboard. Hit enter. Paste it back in. Now I'm going to do my next test. First thing I'm going to do is make sure these all say customer 3. All right. So now I'm going to test the full arc, this valid first name and valid last name. But I'm going to put here an invalid account number. I'm going to manually stick in something that's bad, an invalid account number, and I'll have a valid initial balance. So instead of create account number here, I'm just going to put in 1. Okay? I've just put in 1. And I'm going to put a different amount in here, so I'll put 250. Please look up on the screen here. The system should see this and associate this with the account number. So it's going to go back to the set account number function, and it's going to say if that account number that we passed in is less than 1,000 or greater than 10,000. That's less than 1,000, so it should call our routine right there to generate a new one. All right? We'll see if that works in just a second. All right, so again, I'll do a file, save all, let's double check. Customer 3, customer 3, customer 3, customer 3. That looks like it should be correct. All right. Customer 0, customer 1, customer 2, they're the same. Here's our new one. And notice it gave us an account number. We put in 1, which was out of range. It went back and it regenerated, and it gave us 8836. Does that make sense? All right. I will tell you that my guess is there's one or more of you in here. You're going through everything. You're listening. You really are. But you're like, I don't know if I still get this. That's why I tape these things. All right. That's all I can tell you. That's the main reason I do. All right. Again, this one won't be out there till at least tomorrow, when they send me back what my login is. But as soon as they send that, I'll put it out there. All right. All right, now I want to test my last one. So again, I'm going to copy all this, paste it in. Now I want to make sure I go back. This time, when I test it, I'm not going to put in a first name. So I'm going to have no first name, no last name, but I'll put in a valid account number, and I'll put in a valid, initial balance. So I'll put all that in, and I'll put in account number. Well, we'll call our generate account number. Isn't that what it was called? Create account number. And we will give it an initial balance. I like giving them different numbers in here. So we'll put in here $610. All right. So this will have to become customer 4. This will become customer 4. That will be a 4. And that will be a 4. All right. So file, save all. I'm going to run it again. I already know what my first 4 look like because we've already done those. There's customer 0, there's customer 1, there's customer 2, there's customer 3, there's our new one. Notice it set the first name to UFN, it set the last name to ULN. All right, that's good. So as far as I can tell, everything's working now. Now, what we were also told to do is we were supposed to go and put in a series of deposits and withdrawals. Does that make sense? All right, so I did that. And again, the order in which you do these is up to you. But this is what I put in here next. I'm still inside of main. So down at the bottom of main, I came in here and said, update customer 0 with a bunch of deposits and withdrawals. All right. Now I've got to go back in here and look. Why is it telling me it cannot resolve that simple? What did I call these routines? Oh, I know what it is. Okay. We call this withdrawal, right? We call that deposit. All right? But we're going to have a problem right now because we don't have setters and getters. It doesn't recognize this. All right? I'm trying to figure out why. Well, now it took it. Okay. All right. So 100. I just did a bunch of these. These numbers mean absolutely nothing. So I said we're going to come in and put in 100. Then we're going to put in 200. Then we're going to put in 300. Then we're going to put in 400. Then, if you look on the screen, I'm putting in a bad one. So that one shouldn't take. And after I do that, I want to do the same kind of thing with some withdrawals. Again, please look up on the screen here, please play computer. This is customer 0. Customer 0 had an initial balance. That was the no arc. So it had an initial balance of 25. So we're adding 100 to it, so it's now 125. Then we're adding 200 to it, so it's now 325. Then we're adding 300 to it, so it's now 625. Then we're adding 400 to it, so it's now 1,025. This is illegal, correct? So right now it should be 1,025. Then we're subtracting 50 from it, so that should be 975. Then we're subtracting 50 more from it, so that should be 925. Then we're doing an illegal one, so it should be 925, should be its ending balance. The only way I'll know that is if I bring that J option pane down that I did before and actually print that guy's information out. All right. So I'll put customer 0's info 0, 0. All right. File, save all, and then run it. I know already what the first 5 are going to look like, but it's that 6th one where I redo, so that's okay. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it's that one. Well, either I did my math wrong or something didn't work. All right. Probably I did my math wrong. I think one of those was negative, and I may not have put that in there. But you see where it's working? We had 5 deposits, and that included our initial deposit. We had 2 withdrawals. Okay? And if we look right here, let's take a look. We can probably figure it out. So it was 125, 325, 625, 1,025. All right? That was illegal. So we had our initial deposit, 2, 3, 4, 5 deposits. There it is. We did one legal withdrawal and another legal withdrawal. So our total number of withdrawals is 2. Our withdrawal amount is 100. All right? So we had 1, 2, 3. We had $1,025, and if you subtract 100, it's $925. So it worked. All right? And what I would tell you, I mean, I can keep typing stuff in, but all I did after this is, if you look up on, if you can see my paper, I just did the same kind of thing, but I used different numbers for withdrawals and deposits for customer 1, customer 2, customer 3, and customer 4. But I wrote a test plan out first on a piece of paper where I just put this code in, and then I manually did something like this. I don't have a piece of paper, but I did it. That's a test plan. And I showed that I could do it with both valid and invalid data, and was I getting the results I expected? Does everybody realize, all right, there's a difference between testing your code and debugging your code? And I don't know if you get that or not. I don't have any idea. When you test your code, if I'm writing code, let's say I'm making a game, all right? So when I test my code, guess what my goal is? Anybody know when you test code, what is it? What is your goal? What? Yes. Very good. Because if I break it, it's much better than me putting it out there on the App Store and having a bunch of people write terrible reviews. You do this and the game breaks right away. Who the hell would want to buy it? So when you test, it's considered a good thing if you break your code. Once you've broken your code, then debugging takes place. Then you have to resolve whatever errors you made. You have to fix them. All right? So all that I would do for the rest of this is I'd come back out where I did all this. I would copy the whole flipping thing right there to the clipboard and then paste it back in here. But now I want to work with customer 1. All right, so I already did the stuff in here for customer 0. So now I want to do customer 1. So I'm going to change all these to 1s, and I'm going to put different amounts in there. maybe this time, instead of making, maybe I'll have a lot more bad deposits. So I'll make that negative. I'll make that negative. I'll make this 3,000. I'll make that 4,400, etc. All right. Then with my withdrawals, I'll have some big withdrawals. 1,550. 3,000. And then let's see if we try to withdraw this much. That's too much, right? This is again got to be a 1. This has got to be a 1. So let's again look at that and play computer. What did we say for customer 1? We gave them $500 to start with. Everybody see this? We gave them $500. So when customer 1 started, they had $500 right here. They had $500. And the number of deposits was 1, and the number of withdrawals was 0. All right, then we came in here. This is an illegal deposit. This is an illegal deposit. These two are illegal, so nothing changed. Then this is a valid deposit. So now I've got number of deposits is now 2, and my balance is now 3,500. 3,000 plus my 500. All right. Then I've got another valid one. So now it's 7,900, and I've got 3 deposits. Then I try to do another illegal one, so that doesn't work. So after I do this, I've now got $7,900 in there. So now I'm coming in here, and I'm going to withdraw. So now my number of withdrawals will be 1, 7,900 minus 1,550, 0,536. If I did my math right, it'll be 6,350. All right. Then I'm going to try to take off $3,000. All right. So that's 2, and this will leave me now with 3,350. And this last one shouldn't be allowed because it's going to leave me with less than $25. So if I did this right, if you look on the screen, I should have now my number of deposits should be 3, my number of withdrawals should be 2, and my ending balance, if I did my math right, should be 3,350. That's testing. All right. Again, hopefully I didn't make any mistakes. Look, here's one. That has to be customer 1. That has to be customer 1. Otherwise, I'm not going to even be printing my results. So save all. Run this again. Customer 0, customer 1, customer 2, customer 3, customer 4. My updated one I just did, now this one. 3,350. All right. My amount of deposits is 3. My amount of withdrawals is 2. I even have my deposit amount and my withdrawal amount in there. All that makes sense? That's what I'm doing. I'm just keep coming up with a bunch of different test cases. Part of being a developer and being a successful developer is to think, all right, this should never happen, but if it did, what do I do about it? All right, you end up writing, that's where a lot of your defensive code comes in. Now, I'm going to stop right there, all right? But does everybody get what did this help? Does it make more sense now? All right. Now, I have no idea if Tiffany is going to be in here tomorrow or not. All right. If she is, maybe I'll ask her if she wants to go into the office and take the test. And if she does, I actually would rather have her be here when I go through this with everybody. Okay, so we'll maybe wait until she takes the test. So I'm not sure what we'll do tomorrow, but I'll come up with something. I think that was enough to throw at you for one day.